Our next speaker is Dr. Anders Gronstedt. He has a very unusual educational background. He's a native of Sweden, but he received his MBA from the University of Stockholm in Sweden. He attended the University of Wisconsin as a doctoral student as part of an exchange program between UW and universities in Sweden. So he actually came here to go to school for his PhD. Once he received his PhD in 1994, he decided to stay in the U.S. and became a professor at the University of Colorado in Boulder, but we won't hold that against him. He started the Gronstedt Group in 1997, has been very successful as a consultant in education training applications for a number of Fortune 500 companies that include Google, GE, Microsoft, Avaya, and Dell, among many others. He's an expert on the innovative use of new technologies such as virtual and augmented realities for education and how creative game strategies, known as gamification, that's a new word for you if you haven't heard it before, might be used to promote learning. So we're pleased to welcome Anders back to CSU to speak about the future of transmedia storytelling, gamification, and virtual reality. So, Anders?
Thank you very much. I'm really from Oklahoma, and I've been working on my Swedish accent for the last several years, so I think I have it down now. I'm really pleased to be here. This is really exciting. So, after leaving CU some 17 or so years ago, I started my own business. And while we're local here, we work with national and global clients, both corporate Fortune 500 clients and government clients. And I'm going to share some examples of the work we do in helping them to engage their employees and improve performance of their employees in a changing time. And I want to start off by presenting you one of the client challenges that we were faced with a few months ago, and have you help me think through this one. So you're in charge of a financial service company, and you're under attack by hackers. You're reading every morning about another competitor who's been hacked, and millions of credit card information have been stolen. And you have thousands of IT developers working for you who you now need to upskill on new security concepts. They're moving all your applications to the cloud, and they need to learn about new security concepts as they're doing this. So you need to train thousands of IT developers quickly, and you can't take them off work for too long to do this, and it has to be efficient. So how do you go about doing that? That's a challenge that corporate leaders and government leaders are facing every day today. And the old answers to this are becoming less and less relevant. You know, the old stand-up approaches of bringing everyone into the conference room, the Michael Scott approach of training that most companies are still wedded to. Even IT companies are wedded to this model. We know that doesn't work. People go in and they'll fall asleep, or they'll play games at the back of the room. And they'll go out and it's business as usual. So the other model that some people came up with is, well, why don't we take all these PowerPoints and the speakers and the quizzes and move them online and create online learning? So we moved into the age of e-learning that we've been bombarded with for the last 20 years. And you all know how that goes. In fact, the best that can be said about most of the e-learning that's out there is that it gives you the sensation of coma without the worry and inconvenience. Which is actually a quote originally said about Norwegian television, and it applies equally well to Norwegian television as it does for e-learning. It's become a joke, you know. You're all been through that. You have to click through it, and you try to game the system and get through it, and it doesn't change anyone's behavior. So what we've been starting to think about more and more is, if everyone's sitting at the back of the classroom playing games, why not use all that engagement that they seem to have about game playing and put it to some good use? So this is what we came up with for this client. It's a game. It's a computer game that goes something like this. So this is what people will see on their screens. Let's see. Do I need to? Okay, duplicate. There we go. And we need sound here, guys. Can we get sound? There we go. All right. Let me replay it again. Here we go. Sorry. Yeah. So this is something that they will be watching on the screens.
We're in.
It's a denial of service attack. We're just monitoring the situation.
Have they got into any accounts?
I'm Charles Whiting in New York. There's a widespread hacker attack currently in progress. An international criminal group has claimed responsibility.
So we have a storyline of an impeding hacker attack.
But your database...
And so we see the hackers, we see the newscast, and we have an instructor who's introducing different security concepts that we're trying to teach here. So here's Morphia, and between each round of gameplay, Morphia is introducing a security concept. So let's listen into a little bit to that.
As a collection of computers. We'll place EC2 instances into our subnets. You will see CIDR values appear above the subnets. Once you've created the subnets and put the 3 tiers in them, you'll need to create access control lists, or ACLs.
So the gameplay takes place on this 3D game field, which mirrors the type of architectural diagrams that those of you that are in IT are very comfortable with. So it draws on a Tower of Defense style game. So, you know, Tower of Defense is a game genre where you build up various type of fortifications and you have an impeding attack. And so we're building on that game tradition. And instead of putting up just regular walls, you're putting up different metaphorical descriptions of different IT security concepts. So you're dragging and dropping these out on the game field. So you're creating your architecture. So this is your financial app. You're creating the app here. And so these are subnets. So that's one of the security concepts we're teaching them about that we're illustrating as walls. And we're putting out various other type of security concepts, and then we're putting databases in here, and websites and apps, and this is the vault, this is the database down there that you're trying to protect from hackers. And then you're turning on internet traffic, and this is where it becomes fun. This is where the internet traffic is turned on. That's the regular internet traffic. Those are your customers who are logging onto your website and getting their information. And here are the hackers. And this is where it becomes a first-person shooter game. So we're trying to shoot down the red pieces, the hackers here. So you create your architecture, you try to shoot down the bad guys. And for each level, it gets more and more complex. We're adding more and more security concepts. Morphia comes on and describes each security concepts as you're dragging them out. And you can, as you can imagine, this stuff captures the imagination of a fairly geeky audience. It gets them involved enough that they will at least start learning more about these security concepts that we're introducing them to. So this is a relatively new form of doing corporate training. And does this stuff work? Well, you bet it works. There's research after research that shows that these type of gamified approaches beat traditional stand-up teaching hands down on any criteria that you look at, regardless if you look at knowledge levels or skill base, how much skill you're imparting, or retention rates. There's even this meta-study done actually here in Colorado where they looked at a number of research studies and shown that, it does work better than traditional stand-up training. So this is a game that draws on game elements of leveling up, of starting easier, getting gradually harder, of introducing a challenge, of scoring. That's a high scoring list, of course, so get competitive juices flowing. And you're trying to keep people in the flow by adding complexity, adding more and more concepts and more complexity to the gameplay. You're keeping people in that sense of flow. And importantly, it looks like a game. You know, a lot of times our clients will tell us, yeah, we like this idea of gamification, but can you make it look a little corporate, because we're a serious business here? And I tell them if it looks corporate, it's not a game. There's a certain game aesthetics to a game, and if you don't have that aesthetics, it's simply not a game. So this gamified approach to learning is really gaining traction, and you can see how it will apply to a geeky audience like this. But let's think through another scenario, another client challenge we had. This is Kimberly-Clark, an old line business with roots in forestry, you know, the makers of Kleenex and Huggies. And they have an audience of 20,000 plus people around the world, and their challenge is not so much a technical skill, but more conceptual skill. They want to get people to be more innovative in their organization. They want to bring more products, more innovative products to the market. And they really want to change people's mindset. So how do you reach out to a global audience, diverse people in finance, in product and development, and HR and whatnot, with a training challenge like that? And so for this client, we turned to storytelling, which you saw in the previous example. That's an important part of gamification, is the idea of telling a compelling story. And we know that storytelling works in any type of training. Stories are engaging. Stories have a lot of hooks. They have a lot of, they hook into our memory structure. A lot of, whole memory structure is structured in such a way that it's really structured around stories. So if you think of it, whenever you're faced with a new situation, you think through your memory bank of an appropriate story that fits that situation. Moreover, stories are more persuasive than just telling the facts. If an executive is just going to tell you to be more innovative, it's not as compelling as hearing an engaging story about a team that was innovative and successful because of it. So let's take a look at how we went about this. So we developed essentially a TV show that went out every couple of weeks with new episode, and this is the trailer of this TV show that we developed. Can we get sound? Oh, sorry.
It's always good at valuing our perspectives.
If you open the door to too many opinions, then nothing will get done.
I think sometimes he misinterprets me. I'm naturally passionate, but people here are more reserved.
Look, folks, we have to get together out there, or we're all going to be swimming the rapids.
Sometimes it's just easier to go along.
If you don't get more from the team, this project will fail.
How does everyone feel about whitewater rafting to clear the air?
Right side, paddle! Come on, paddle! Okay, left side, stop paddling! Left side, reverse! Reverse!
Feels like everyone is just playing along. I hate that. I hate when everyone tells me what they think I want to hear.
Take your hands up! Reverse!
Why can't you listen to people who see the world differently than you?
Is it possible the I-tent could be more than what we've imagined?
We don't know where we're going, and we must get there as quickly as possible.
So we developed a TV show with 5-minute episodes, just like you saw here. And back to there. So every other week there was a new episode launched, shot in the sort of mockumentary style that we're now becoming more and more familiar with through The Office and other TV shows. And you're following this team that has been charged with developing the I-tent, the tent of the future. And we actually shot it here in Colorado, up in Glenwood Springs. They finally took the tent out for a test run and to brainstorm ideas. They went rafting, and of course the team leader fell in the river, and he finally started listening to his team members better, and they found a new application through the storyline. So there was an engaging storyline. So every other week there was a new episode of this. But this was what we call a transmedia storytelling approach, where we carried the story through this TV show, but also through animated, what we call scribes, these hand-animated videos that are becoming so popular on YouTube now, where you're kind of watching over the shoulder of someone, describing a concept. So those were a little more hard-hitting, a little more instructional, described videos. You see an image of it there. And we also had podcasts, so radio-style shows where we interviewed innovation experts inside and outside of the organization. And those were more in-depth, 20, 30-minute long. And we had characters from the video call in with their questions. And in the animated scribes, the characters from the video appeared as animated characters. So the same story was woven through these multiple media, multiple screens over the course not just of a few days or weeks, but months. And that's another problem with a lot of training initiatives, is that it's just you bring everyone together for an afternoon like this and then it's forgotten. So this was more of an ongoing campaign. We hit them with a message on multiple screens and devices from 1 month to another. The same overall storyline, same characters, but we treated it differently. It wasn't just a repetition of the same storyline, but a different treatment, using each medium for what it's best at, using a podcast for the in-depth conversations with experts, using the scribes for the short instructional videos, using the dramas, the video dramas to drive the storyline forward. And while it's hard to put number at the success of a program like this, we do know that over 20,000, almost the entire audience of people, did interact with some of this content, even though it was not mandated, like most training usually is mandated. There was improvement on innovation in the climate surveys. And it was interesting to see the enthusiasm in the organization, where managers will hold spontaneous viewing parties. They'll take these videos and show them at the beginning of weekly meetings, have conversations about it. So a lot of reflection and conversation going on in the organization, and feedback like this, that there was a fabulous program. Can't imagine anyone not learning something or having an aha moment when taking this course. So the storyline really takes hold. The characters become larger than life. People start identifying with them. They want to be like Vanessa, the energetic Brazilian woman in this show. And they start jokingly referring to these characters in their internal meetings, and it becomes part of the fabric of the culture. So the gamification and the transmedia approach are two ways that we think are ways to innovate learning in large organizations, to bring about a change in behavior. They are, though, still fairly flat and 2D, where we think that the real future in learning is in immersive 3D spaces, which we've talked about a fair amount already here. And so I want to show you an example of a third case where we're training hotel managers on various skills, and we're taking them inside of a hotel. This is a game. It's played in the fictitious hotel, Slate Hotel. And I'm going to skip the tutorial level and jump to the second level, where we're in a 3D environment. We're moving around. It's a first-person view, and we are faced with different situations here. So there's a
I can't believe they're not here yet.
customer talking on the phone. So, and the person working there is being proactive and helping her. So you have an audit, you have a brand audit here that you're evaluating how the operation in your hotel is going. And because she was so proactive, we'll give her a pass on that service aspect. And you walk around here in the hotel, and you can identify various other issues. And as you're identifying issues at the hotel, you're filling out the brand audit here. So if the light is out, if there's safety hazard, if the fire extinguisher is on the right place. So I'll just randomly click here at ideas, but it takes you a little while here to walk around. So you're literally taking yourself into the hotel in front of your screen here, moving around at the hotel as if you were a manager, identifying customer service and safety issues. And when you completed this audit, you get some feedback here on this was what you did correctly, this is what you did incorrectly. Obviously, I just randomly clicked on things here. You get a score. There's a high scoring list. There's a social, sort of fake social media commentary here that gives you feedback and clues to how well you're performing. Because you didn't pass this level, you have to play the level again and start all over. And for each time you play it again, there are new things, new twists. So now there's a spill on the floor here, so you'll have to add that to the audit that there's a safety hazard with the spill there. So you're moving, you're taking training and turning it into something very immersive, where you're right inside of the environment, and you have the sensation of going to a place even though it's just in front of a screen. And this happens to be a single-player game, but we're working with clients, even government clients, on multiplayer environments like this. So for the Department of Transportation, we just held a conference in a 3D environment like this, where everyone is an avatar, and you have a panel discussion. Let me quickly show this to you.
This week is going to be one of what we hope is going to be a really fun week and a really interesting and educational week for everyone involved. Our first panel session this week is going to be on, and we put together what we think is a great panel to help us walk through a series of questions that we actually forwarded to you late last night and early this morning again. 3 questions.
So it's a 3D environment, much like the heralded Second Life some 8 years ago. So this is making its way into business and even government use, where everyone shows up as an avatar. The panelists are avatars, the speakers are an avatar, the participants are all avatars. They're participating remotely in a conference. We have construction equipment created. There's an exhibit where you can view the construction equipment. And you have this sensation of going to a place and being able to socialize with each other. It's spatial audio, so the closer someone gets to you, the louder it gets. And this is only the beginning. This is, of course, what we call the virtual world. It's looking at a screen and still having the sensation of really going to a place and being really immersed. But as been discussed in several of the sessions today, where this is going next is with a true virtual reality, where you're strapping on your headset, be it an Oculus Rift or another headset, and there are a few different makers of these out on the market, where you completely go from immersion to literally stepping into to the world. So you have these really goofy-looking glasses or goggles, and you get head tracking, so you look up and you see the sky, or you look down, you see the ground. You have peripheral view, so you see a wide-angle view of the world. And in the latest version, it's 3D audio as well. And there are a number of different manufacturers, but just imagine the possibilities for training various type of skills and being able to step into a manufacturing environment. It presents various challenges, like the fact that you can't see your own hands. So we're experimenting with using the head tracking to sort of headbutt your way through and being able to answer multiple choice question by using your head. And of course, game controllers and gesture-based input are other ways of solving this. Here are some of the devices that are coming out on the market. And of course, Microsoft has a video that's a must-see video of their new HoloLens, which is going to be launched next spring as part of their Windows 10. And if they live up to the video that they have out there, I think it's going to be a total game changer, because it takes this concept of virtual reality, but it's see-through glasses. So rather than this, where you can't even see your own hands, you can actually see the environment, and it overlays a 3D environment on top of the world that you're already seeing. So we're truly moving into an augmented reality space. where you can move around, see people, see what you're doing, and yet have a 3D display or any type of data laid over that. So with that, I'd like to close with this thought, which is that the space that we're in, training and learning and development, is perhaps the last frontier of technologies that still hasn't really been impacted by technology. If you think about it, training has been scaled up with things like YouTube and MMOs and other things, but we haven't fundamentally changed the way we do training. It's still sage on the stage, a guy standing up here talking and waving his arm, and people sitting in an audience and taking notes and trying to apply what they're learning. So I think to me, this is just a fascinating industry, perhaps the last major industry to truly revolutionize with technology. And rather than just doing the same things that we've always done for the last hundreds of years in a more efficient way, to truly change the whole paradigm of how we go about training, by simulating things, by using gamification, by telling engaging transmedia narratives across multiple screens and devices. And with that, I'd like to open for questions. Yes? Yeah, right. So, yeah, it requires a lot of different talents. We have 3D modelers who work in programs like Autodesk Maya. We have game developers. We like Unity, the game engine, for most of our game development. In the multiplayer 3D environments, though, we're using a platform based on the Unreal game engine, but developed by Avaya, the telecom maker, which we like a lot. Obviously, for the video, it requires a whole film crew and actors. And we're moving more and more into sort of a video production type of model, where we put together a unique team of a combination of freelancers and staff members for each project, because it requires so many different talents to get this together, which is part of the excitement of doing this, that no single person could get any of this done. It really needs a coordination of very geeky people and very creative people and business-like people to pull it all off. Yes? Yep. Yeah, I think that anyone who's played anything as simple as the many casual games that you play will find that it is an engaging process by itself, and that the learning happens very natural. And we try as much as we can to incorporate the training. I know it's a little forced fit. You saw Morphe here explaining a concept. That's about as much traditional training as we put into the game, and it's only like a 2-minute, and we put it right in the game environment and make it very cool looking, so it really becomes part of the whole game flow. We really try to avoid having, oh, now we're going to tell you for 5 minutes about this concept, and then you get to apply it in a game. We really want the learning to be a natural part of the actual gameplay experience itself. We like to throw people into situations, have them start doing things right away, and then learning as they go along, rather than teaching them concepts and then just applying them. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. I would try to make the learning part of the whole gameplay experience as far as possible. Yes? Yeah, great question. So how long time does it take to develop this? That one took maybe 6 months. So anywhere between 3 and 6 months are typical development cycles. We work with corporate clients who really want things out quickly, so we rarely have 6 months is really the longest we usually have on any project. Yeah, and it is, in the past, just a few years ago, it used to take years and years to develop, and it required multi-million-dollar budgets. That's something I want to emphasize. These are really done with the same type of budgets that more traditional e-learning has been done with up until now. So we're small teams, just a handful of people who do the development of these, get them done in a few months' time. The tools are becoming so available now, and there's the asset banks of the asset stores, for instance, with Unity that you can draw on, so you don't have to create everything from scratch. So it's becoming much more accessible for even smaller businesses to do this type of development. Yes? Yeah, that's a great question. Our model is to custom develop for each client. So we're always looking at reusing some of the background code and some ideas. And on some training that's a little more generic, like IT security concept like this, we're trying to reuse entire programs for other clients. But most of the programs we do are highly customized for particular clients with their lingo, their culture, and a lot of times proprietary information from that client too.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks.
Oh, and we got to pull your computer out. We have one more speaker coming up, and there'll be an opportunity to talk to all the speakers after the final session. We're going to have a dessert reception outside at 5 p.m. out in the lobby with coffee and cookies and delicious things to eat. Before we bring up Pat Burns to close this, I'd like to ask David Ramsey, if you'd come up here, please. This is my partner in crime for Future Visions. We started this 10 years ago. He was working at HP at the time. He came to me and said, we should do something together. We should, HP, we should do something together. So we had the dream, this idea of doing a Futures Conference. This is the 10th year. This is the 5th one we've done. So I'd like to thank David for all of his contributions. He's responsible for Double Robot. That was his idea. He arranged for it. He got it here. He trained Rick on how to use it. He said, we should get Tara Bunch to come and speak at Future Vision. So he was inspirational in terms of a lot of what we did. So, David, this is for you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
He's the most self-effacing person I know. Really, he's very shy about coming up and being recognized. So it's important for us to do that. So I'd like to introduce Dr. Pat Burns now. He's going to close for us. Dr. Pat Burns is the Vice President for Information Technology and Dean of Libraries. He is truly a Renaissance person because he wears about 10 hats here at CSU. I'd like to introduce Dr. Pat Burns to close the session. So, Pat.
Thank you, Pete. Information. We're pleased to have ISTech. First I in ISTech is for information as part of CSU Libraries, which is about information as well. We're in an information renaissance. We're in the information age. Higher education is about information and generation of new information and innovation. So it's great every year or two to be able to take a look over the next 1 or 2 event horizons for information. And we, I think, accomplished that today with our outstanding speakers that we had. So let's give our outstanding speakers one final tremendous round of applause. And so they're so deserving. And I'd like to thank Pete and company, all the ISTech group, for organizing this. And David was the catalyst early on, but let's give them a round of applause again. And everybody who worked to support this. Thank you all. So another great ISTech event. Ed Chong, I guess, is going to join us now. What are you going to say, Ed? If you're done. Yeah. So are you going to invite them out to the ice cream social?
I could do that.
Why don't you do that? Thank you.
Yes, in a minute I'll invite you out to the ice cream social just outside there. But but before you go, I just want to end with sort of a bittersweet moment here. For the last decade or so, Pete Seal has been chairing and organizing and devoting a very significant part of his life to making Future Visions work so well as an ISTech activity. And this is his very last Future Visions symposium where he will organize everything and put everything together. So just as a small token of our appreciation for all your work, Pete, over the last decade or so, we have something to present to you. Yeah, come on up.
So is this a framed poster?
It is a framed poster of all the future visions that you have put together in the past decade or so.
So what they did,
there you go.
These are all, so 2005, 2007, 2010, 12, and 15. So this is all 5. Yes, I will not be here for the next one, but I'll be happy to attend. So somebody else can organize this, because it literally takes over your life for about 6 months. But it's been a real joy. And the purpose of this really is to provide this for students. It's all about our students, to deliver visions of the future for students. And we've had a great time doing it. Believe me, it's a lot of fun doing it. And we've learned a tremendous amount in the process. So I want to thank all of our speakers who are here today for joining us for this, and for students for coming and participating, and everybody who's worked on this, because there's been a lot of people over these years who worked on it. So thank you very much for this.
Thank you so much.
This is a great gift. So thanks a lot. Thank you. Very nice.